Hello and welcome to Stokes tutorial episode. Now this episode we're going to give you tips and tricks from the tutorial itself. Now you might say, a tutorial video on the tutorial guys, WTF. But Jeremy convinced me there is a good reason to do so. What is it, Jeremy? I should mention I'm Chris, that's Jeremy.
Oh yeah, he's Chris, I'm Jeremy.
Yeah, this is Stoked.
There's a couple little things behind the scenes that the tutorial actually doesn't tell you about the game. Or at least it doesn't tell you quick enough for you to actually get your hands on the meat of it. So,
all right.
Let's go ahead and open the screen here. First of all, I've already done a few steps of the tutorial, so I'm on the bridge of the ship that you start on already.
Yeah.
If you'll notice, my mission objective has progressed. So,
yeah.
One of the first things I want to show people is how to change your UI.
Okay.
This is something a lot of people have asked us about. Is it customizable? So it's real simple. Hit the F12 button on your keyboard. This brings up an overlay that shows everything that's possible to change during the ground UI. It doesn't show you the space UI because you're on the ground.
You need to be in space to change the space UI.
Makes a little sense there, doesn't it? But from here you can change anything you want. I'm going to go ahead and resize my chat windows. Too small. This is too far to the right. And then if you ever wanted to just reset them, Shift Escape, just like it says there in big pretty letters, and then F12 to get back to it.
Now let me ask you something. Isn't there also a way to do like screenshots and things like that with no UI at all?
The default is if you hit the print screen button on your computer, it will take a shot without the UI at all.
So that's how you see all those cool screenshots online without any of the UIs that they've built.
If you want to take one with a UI, you notice when you start
type
typing.
there, did you type enter/screen? Okay.
You take enter to activate the chat window, and then slash to bring up commands, and then it doesn't autocomplete like so many web pages and things will do for you. So if you want to take a picture of the UI, you just hit that.
So slash screenshot underscore UI.
Yep. And then you just hit enter, and it does it.
Cool. Yep. That's a nice little tip.
Very simple.
All right, is there anything else you want to show us here in the tutorial?
If you might notice, when you first start off, your character runs a little slow. He's jogging, but maybe you want to be able to zoom around a little quicker.
I got places to go, Jeremy.
Yeah. Well, all you do is tap the Shift key,
Hold
and all of a
down
sudden
Shift.
you are zooming all over the place.
It's not permanent, but
No.
you have to stop, but it cools down really quick.
Pretty quick little cooldown. So that's handy.
Yes, sir.
That's all I've got for right now, so I'm going to go ahead and progress through here.
Now, one of the things you might have noticed in our tutorial here is we've turned off the docile tones of Zachary Quinto, which you'd probably be hearing right now. At least I don't.
Yes, you would.
I don't think you're hearing them right now. Let me check.
We've got the rest of the sound effects turned on, but I turned the voice acting down.
Yeah.
Zach's awesome, but he would have talked over us. He's kind of rude like that.
Now, one of the things we made comments about before in previous episodes of Stoke and things like that is the door size and the transporter room here.
There it is.
That's the big transporter pad, but you have to kind of figure that they used that transporter style for the game because there could be large crowds in there at times.
Oh, actually, I just remembered something that I do want to point out to you guys. You might have noticed that I'm not clicking these continue buttons. The F to interact will scroll right through main dialogues as long as that window is the active window. Very simple. Helps you get through things. I'm not reading because I'm trying to get through the tutorial for you guys, so I don't bore you.
You've probably read it, what, 200 times maybe?
Almost.
This guy spent some serious time with the character creator. It's kind of ridiculous.
And this is why I know a couple of the little behind-the-scenes tips about this whole thing.
Yeah, it's funny because as you go through it, as we do it, there's like little things here that we mention.
Yep. Like, for example,
so now you're in the thick of it.
The first thing you want to do is talk to the image. And this is where you would usually hear Zach Quinto's voice, but he's not there.
Jeremy and Zach are on a first-name basis.
Yeah.
They're buds, they hang.
Or as I like to call him, Quinto.
No, you ZQ. Hey, ZQ, what's going on?
Now again, I'm sprinting over to the next portion of the tutorial here.
Nice.
Getting through it rather quickly here. I really encourage you guys to read the story because it actually is very interesting and very well done.
And I believe it's going to have big ramifications down the road in the game.
Yeah.
Specifically with regards to the behavior of these Borg. Yep.
This is something that we talked about in the previous show too. I just beamed some Borg into the pattern holder, and now I'm going to use it, beam them out into space.
Pattern buffer.
Pattern buffer.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Well, you know.
And
there they go.
Fly right up there. It's really awesome.
Now he keeps getting messages here and telling him where to go, but
I don't need to read them because I've already done this so many times.
Well, that and you've got the way it's laid out. There's only really so many places you can go. Now, should we mention that tip window that came up there? That guy right there.
The one that I just closed.
that'll give you like all of your keyboard commands. So if you're a big WASD user and things like that on your keyboard, all the commands you want to use. So if you don't want to use the mouse for navigation, you'll see those in that tip box there.
Actually, let me explain the hotbars here real quickly, just so that you understand what you've got at your disposal. These first three commands are always going to be your weapon commands. This is one of your innate
and they might not be able to see
abilities.
the mouse super great, so you're down.
Oh, okay. So 1, 2, and 3 are your weapon commands down at the bottom of the screen.
Right.
This 5 is an innate ability. To move and drag these things around, right-click and hold, and you can move them wherever you want.
Now, I think the biggest tip as far as the weapons go, I don't know if it works with this phaser, but right-clicking on number 1 sets it to auto-fire mode.
Yes.
And that's a really big deal, and especially in space combat.
Yes. Yes, absolutely, because there's so much spamming of buttons going on. Now, this portion of the tutorial is probably one you're going to get hung up on the most.
You think so?
Yeah, you have to destroy these things. You have to actually, go through and destroy them. But it's fun because you can kick around the physics parts.
Yeah.
And if you notice, there's a drone here right next to this one. If you blow up the device, it'll do damage to the drone.
Yeah.
Now, that's not really useful because it's not a lot of damage, but it's good to keep in mind for future missions and things. If it wasn't for having to destroy these devices, you could honestly just run right through this.
Now, why don't you go in one of the side rooms and show somebody, or maybe just down the hallway, show somebody some of the knockback abilities you can do.
Oh, okay. Actually, I can do it on this board right here.
Okay.
Your number 3 device is always attack is always going to be a melee attack. Also, if you notice, the Borg do almost no damage. You have nothing to fear from these Borg. Number 3 is a melee attack. It will knock them back.
That works too if you have multiple guys on you and you want to focus on one
it's
guy.
not specifically targeted.
Right.
It's a frontal arc.
Yeah.
All melee attacks seem to be a full frontal arc.
It's like one of those, you see in the movies when a guy like punches 3 guys at once.
Oh, now this is something neat. I actually exposed him. Now, if I had an exploit attack, which should be the number 2 if I have one, then I could actually
He's in a vulnerable
vaporize
state.
him. Yeah, I could actually have
You
vaporized.
do extra damage right then. Yeah.
And that time I knocked him loopy, which is the little status effect.
And the next gun you get, you can take advantage of that stuff.
Yeah, the starter gun that you start with as an engineer or a
Still a
science
hand
officer it does an expose attack. You might see down there, 10% chance to expose, which is what I just did, which would have allowed me to vaporize him. But tactical officers start with an exploit attack, which not only does extra damage, but if something gets exposed, you have a chance to vaporize, which is awesome. I love vaporizing things.
Yeah, and they do a great effect too.
Yeah.
They do the whole Star Trek 3 when what's the guy that played Doc Brown? What's his name?
I forgot to kill a device.
What's the
Christopher
guy?
Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd. When Christopher Lloyd shoots the guy because he blew up the whole ship, and so he whips out the gun and vaporizes him right then and there. It looks just like that whole knockback and.
Okay, so I
Grissom,
destroyed the
USS
devices.
Grissom.
I get to move on. I'm sorry, we don't have a lot of behind-the-scenes info for this portion, but I do have...
That's actually a great moment. I said target their engines. Sorry, sir.
So the next portion is something that I have a tip for you. It makes it very easy and very quick.
All right.
You can skip it, basically.
Really?
This says go to main engineering is your next task.
Yes.
But there's Borg in the hallway.
Lots of Borg.
Well, you know what? F them.
Really?
Yep. You get nothing for
Do they
killing
chase
these
you?
Borg. Yes. But they walk.
Well, yeah, the Borg are slow.
Now, these are more of like the classic Borg from the Next Generation. There are other Borg that we will encounter later on, even in this tutorial, that are much more beefed up.
Yeah. So do a pan of the engineering room. Look at that.
That is awesome.
Gorgeous there. I love
There's
it.
some barricades set up down here where they're fighting off the Borg.
They hinted at this style of engineering room in the, like in that First Contact, you know? Big scale like this. Because the warp core would be massive. Come on.
It would be.
It wouldn't be like this fluorescent light tube thing in the engineering.
Yeah. So now this is one thing that I do want to let you guys know about. Even though I skipped all those Borg earlier, this is a good place to go ahead and get what's called an accolade, which is like an achievement. If you just kill 10 Borg, which I don't think I'm going to take the time to do right now, kill 10 Borg and you get some experience and merit.
Oh, cool.
In fact, if you wanted to sit here and just, rail away at your number 1 button or
Kill
whatever,
40 of them or something like that?
the next step is 100, but they come pretty quickly at this portion in the
Why don't
tutorial.
you show the aim mode you can go into here? Because this is where you can do a little extra damage. And
This is by pressing the C button.
And they kind of tell you this in the tutorial at this point of the game, but it's a good little... Now, you notice like the stance it goes into is a little more first-person shooter, and now Jeremy is doing more damage than he was before, which is a nice little tip to kind of blow through this. So if you do
So
want
it's
to kind of
ticking
get
up
some
at
of
like
that...
14 to 13 per hit, whereas if I go back to this, it's only... Well, that was a flank damage, so...
You got extra there.
Yeah.
But it's under
10 to
isn't it?
11.
10 to 11.
So, yeah.
So if you do want to sit here and try to get those accolades and the little extra bonus you can get, that's a good way to kind of get through that a little
And I
faster.
think it's actually pretty significant if you go for the 100 Borg at this level, because it's aimed for characters that are more progressed.
Yeah, so you
Plus, another thing is that you're not going to be fighting Borg for several levels. Maybe not even until you're somewhere in the commander or captain ranks. So if those accolades you won't be able to achieve them other than at this point in the game until much later on.
That's really good. That's really cool. I'm going to do that for sure next time I go through.
Yeah, and it's a nice little bonus and something fun to do. So the next section is, I think I have to...
And plus, why not hang out in engineering? It's bad. You got to go to the transporter room now.
I will. There's handy little arrows on the wall that tell you where to go. Red alert! This is something for the story buffs at home. That is one of those new Borg.
More advanced. And these NPCs here are sitting here. They're not doing it at the moment, but they normally be sitting here going, I've never seen theirs.
How is this Borg different than the other ones? Yeah.
This could be a major change in the Borg, and then this could be really bad for us. That kind of, they have a little discussion back and forth.
It's a really neat little story thing that they've thrown in here.
All right. Now, what is this? These are your different, so obviously red, blue, and yellow.
Gold, yeah.
Gold. So you've got engineering there, you've got science, and then over there you've got tactical on the far left.
You have to talk to all of them in order to progress down the mission trees.
And they essentially just tell you...
They give you an overview of what they will do as your bridge officers.
Yeah. And you pick one.
I'm going to pick the science officer. Even though myself as a science officer would pick the science officer because they
I don't know. Tacticals are nice to have. You get
they do. And now this is another thing. This shows you every ability that they can possibly have. These are ranked. So the first one's lieutenant, I think, or ensign. I forget the buff ranks, but anyway.
Ensign. Starts at ensign.
Okay, so the first rank of each of these space and ground is their ensign ability. Then when you promote them, they'll have the next ability. So this is a good way, and you'll see this later on in
now, why science,
vendors.
Though? I mean,
because his first ability, ground ability, is medical tricorder.
I know, but you're going to immediately go into space combat here pretty soon.
That's true.
And the tactical, I think a tactical or engineer would be more valuable in that scenario.
I'll go with tactical for you, Chris.
All right.
But this is something that you can make the decision on your own. One of the first missions that you'll get after the tutorial is to pick another bridge officer.
Okay.
And you can also buy one at Earth Space Dock when you finish. So
you can buy one.
Hire, I guess.
Yeah. Or recruit.
Recruit. They're not slaves.
No. All right, now we're in space.
And here's another little tip to get through this as quickly as possible if you are any good at flying. Like Chris has said, I've done this so many times that I'm pretty good at flying. So I'm going to engage my full thing here and then full impulse.
And you do that by hitting that double arrow at the top of the speed bar there.
Or Shift R.
What's flashing right now. Or Shift R.
Yeah.
And you just get so much more speed, it's kind of ridiculous.
And then if you know where the ships are, you can just beam them over.
And you can beam them while at full speed.
Yep. Beam them over, and then she tells me to go to the sea coal. I'm still at full impulse this whole time. The first time I did this section, though, I got pretty lost, so I wouldn't recommend trying to do it this way your first time through.
Unless you're watching this. I mean,
and then you would know exactly where they are. Now this guy is basically saying they're a sovereign class, that they were disabled, so come on over and we'll arm your ship. Pretty badass. So that's them on the other side of this asteroid.
I like that. As you go around the asteroid, it's just so gorgeous.
Yep, and you could probably hear the nav beacons and the sound.
Probably.
Yeah.
Now we get underway. Now, I've never gone through it this fast, personally. I've always kind of taken my time.
Yep. And space is pretty. There's plenty to see. All these hulks floating in space are awesome.
It's actually really cool to see those beat-up ships and stuff. There's our beauty shot, and now we're right into the thick of it. And look right off to the left there, that damaged ship. Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yep.
Aha!
Now, each of these officers will give you a walkthrough of how to use your weapons and everything. I'm actually on the last tip that I have for this portion of the tutorial, and that is basically the same as the Borg in engineering. You can stick around in this area and kill Borg drones
I guess
the
benefit to that would be XP.
Yep.
Now, you just use spacebar to auto-fire your phasers there. We should mention that.
Yes. Spacebar is by default bound to fire your beam weapons, and then you have to either click or rebind your torpedoes to get them to fire off.
Yeah.
But if you just sit around here and go through, kill 10 Borg drones, you'll get a little reward. If you want to spend that much time here and kill 100, again, you'll get another award. And again, you won't be able to get that until much later in the game if you decide to do that. So
you get a separate reward for drones versus ships?
No, these count as Borg ships. That's basically what it is. But these are much easier to kill than any of the others you'll see in the tutorial.
My question is, if you kill 10 drones and you kill 10 ships, it's two different accolades.
That's right, yeah. The ground combat and the space combat kills are separate.
Cool.
And that's all I've got for behind-the-scenes tips.
All right. Well, so there you have it, everyone. There's a quick look at the tutorial, and I know a lot of you are going to go through that with Zachary Quinto, but we want to give you a couple of hints to help you get through that. Now we've got even more stuff coming up. Oh, you're getting shot at, aren't you? We got even more stuff coming up, but we'd love to hear your suggestions. You can do that over at jupitercolony.org. And if you'd like to join
it's colony.com.
Oh, jupitercolony.com. And if you'd like to join our force or learn about the Jupiter Force, that's our in-game guild. You can do so over at jupiterforce.org.
That's the org.
Which probably won't be out by the time this video.
No, in less than a week, we hope.
But let us know. We're beta testing these tutorial creations, and we want to hear your feedback. And we hope you enjoyed this look at the tips and tricks tutorial for Stoke.
I'm going to go play now.
Nice.